Hello everybody, I am Old Guy Gamer. Back again playing Police Simulator Patrol Officer. Today's a Monday. I hope you guys aren't looking forward to the car today because we're not going to get into it. But we're going to go find a nice quiet spot or a not so quiet spot. And we're going to be going over the policy manual today. Page by page. I was doing some editing on a previous video and realized that I never went through the whole policy manual. I kind of stopped for some reason towards the end of it, but I didn't do the whole thing. It's just going to be loud everywhere, so let's go to it. We're going to do this thing page by page and just see what it has to say. Oh yeah, got the background check. That's all done. Okay.
We have an emergency. Who's available?
Not going to do it. We're going to ignore all calls today. We're going to just go through the handbook. So we're going to read it, kind of skim through it because it's a lot to go through in one video, but we're going to get through it. So here we go. Welcome to the Brighton Police Force.
This is Patrol 4561, taking care of the accident.
Taking it. That's good. Okay. Study this handbook carefully. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duties serve. Many helpful tips. Must read. Focus mode. We know how to do that. Reasonable suspicion. Probable cause. Detaining. Asking for ID. Handcuffing. Casual and simulation game modes. Hints. Key bindings. Key bindings. Key bindings. Disclaimer. Okay. It's for informational purposes only. I'm pretty familiar with Illinois traffic law because of my job. So I will sometimes compare the game law compared to Illinois traffic law. But refer to your local jurisdiction to see what the laws are.
Assistance required. Is an officer available?
Because none of this stuff is meant to be real, and it's all just a game. Focus mode. Left trigger, left button, blah, blah, blah. We know how to do that to focus on a plate. Automatically runs it and puts it in the background on the computer. Reasonable suspicion.
This is Patrol 4562. I'll search for the suspect.
Reasonable suspicion means that a situation allows a patrol officer to believe that a person may have committed a crime. Okay. It's not exactly the way it's legally defined, but it's pretty close. It's basically enough to stop and ask someone some questions about what they're doing and why they're in the area because you think they might be up to something no good, even if you don't know for sure that they're up to no good. Term probable cause is similar to reasonable suspicion. It's just a greater level of evidence that you have against the person that they've committed a crime, a specific crime at a specific place and time.
Officer, help requested for an emergency. Please respond.
We're ignoring all calls today. We're in training mode today. We're just listening to the radio as other people respond. Casual simulation game modes. Pick which one you want when you're doing it. Here we go.
This is Patrol 4561, taking care of the accident.
They actually cite Terry versus Ohio here from 1968. That's kind of cool. That's a real case. You can Google it and look it up and see what the details of that case are. It's kind of been the basis for all police officer Terry stops since then. It's still in use today as the defining example of when you can and cannot stop somebody. Can only stop someone with reasonable suspicion or probable cause the person's committed a crime or violation. Person's free to leave unless you tell them that they're detained. Pedestrians can be detained for littering, jaywalking when they match the description of wanted person or possibly possess drugs. Many arrest encounters don't require detainment, but which result in immediate arrest by handcuffing. Okay, detaining drivers. Grounds for detaining drivers are divided into multiple categories. Document or background check, vehicle driving, or traffic stop. Releasing detained citizens, you're allowed to investigate a reason for detainment. When you no longer have any reason to keep someone, you must let them go. Interaction wheel, you have to basically define why you're keeping someone. And if you move away, they are released. That is as far down as I can scroll. So, when detaining a person, you might note suspicious behavior. It allows for further interrogation. Turn on the flashlight to see signs. Citizens are not allowed to refuse identifying themselves. You can issue tickets without detaining a person first and without negative consequences. However, detaining first earns extra points. Okay. Police simulator witnesses to accidents and crimes are automatically detained without any proactive detaining by the officer, even if it may not be legally correct. Just a simpler way of handling witnesses for the player. Brief intuition system. So the most important thing is when the thing pops up, there's different colors. Blue means additional intel, something that you can't determine without them telling you. So you smell alcohol, they're just giving you that little hint. Red is about conduct or behavior of the police officer. I'm driving too fast, I ran a red light, that kind of thing. Green shows additional information for casual mode. This person lettered. Yellow shows any other intuition fit that. Whatever. Just be aware of the colors of the intuition. Flashlight coming soon. It's not in here yet. Okay, I didn't know that. I just thought I wasn't using it. Light up dark corners of the city. Turn it on. Night shift allows them to receive intuition feedback. The dark hides more stuff than daylight, so you need the flashlight at dark to find these things. You need the flashlight to focus on things at night. And drug dealers are aware of your presence and will not deal drugs, and graffiti sprayers will flee. Okay, shifts. Gotta work 5 days and then take 2 days off. You just have to have 2 days off out of every 7, and you have to work 5 days out of every 7. That's all. 8 hours in game. 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. Active duties can still be finished and will be rewarded. Be aware that losing conduct points after shift is still possible after shift is ended. Okay. Shift points and XP. You get shift points by doing justified actions. District XP are earned by ending a shift successfully. The district XP is what gets you promoted to a different level, gives you more options for cars and different districts and stuff like that. You can get negative conduct points. And you do get a bonus for working alone. Alright, conduct points. You're bound to code of conduct and laws. If you break them, you get negative points. Start with 100. You break the law, you get deducted points. When you reach 0, you're fired. And you have to repeat the shift. Speeding deducts a few. Unjustified weapon discharge deducts all 100 points, and the officer will be fired immediately. Okay. Conduct points reduce your shift points at the end of a shift. Punish traffic violations. Traffic violations on foot. Unjustified encounters and instructions. Aiming or shooting weapon. Arresting, searching, detaining, frisking, pulling over, demanding more tests for drug and alcohol. Reasons for losing a shift. Police brutality. Running over pedestrians. Serious injury to the officer. That's happened to me. Major accident. Breaking the patrol car. Game options allow many, but not all the reasons for a relaxed game mode. Okay.
Assistance required. Is an officer available?
Duty stars are earned by achieving a certain amount of district XP. You need to unlock new tools. That's what I was talking about. The district XP gives you new tools. Brief. In certain situations, officer shift ends immediately without returning to the precinct.
This is Patrol 4562. I'll search for the suspect.
Lost shift means the shift has to be repeated. Being fired. Being arrested. Committing a serious crime results in the arrest of the patrol officer. Wow. Being seriously injured, causing a major accident, or breaking the police car. Consequences of losing a shift are you don't receive any XP or duty stars, and all the progress from the lost shift is lost. Game time is set back to the shift, and the shift will have to be repeated. When a suspect flees, the patrol officer aims their ranged stun gun at them. The suspect might surrender and raise their arms. If so, no longer permitted to shoot. Okay.
Officer help requested for an emergency.
Patrol
Please
calls.
respond.
Patrol officers are assigned to patrol cars On a car patrol shift, but not on a foot patrol shift. Patrol officers during the career initially sign up foot patrols. Patrol car pacing, pulling over, emergency light system, siren.
This is Patrol 4561, taking care of the accident.
Oh, LB, the left bumper is the cruise control. That's good to remember because I'm constantly speeding when I drive the car. Police computer, toggle view, first person, third. That's the V, okay. Okay, and don't damage the car or it ends your shift. Fourth Amendment. Oh my goodness, you could learn this for a lifetime and still not understand it. Well, that's not true. You could study it for a long time and still not get all the nuances of Fourth Amendment. But basically, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. A lot of states have stop and identify laws. In the city of Franklin and the city of Brighton, state of Franklin, city of Brighton, police officers are allowed to request a person's ID when you have reasonable suspicion or probable cause the person committed a crime, person's witness. Identifying as a witness is simple. They're found around the scene of the accident. Officer in Brighton is allowed to ask for identification if the person looks like a wanted subject, probably committed a crime, violated any traffic rule on foot or in a car, violated any laws like littering, drove suspiciously, like weaving, behaved suspiciously, avoids eye contact, blah, 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 appears to have taken illegal substances, green crumbs, blah, 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 carries an illegal item or flees while being detained. On the other hand, there's also behavior that does not justify asking for an ID, such as when a person sweats, has a runny nose, or walks around drunk. So you're allowed to walk around drunk in Brighton. Okay, that's good to know. Following hints might be useful. Not every ID is a valid driver's license. Driver's licenses carry a statement identifying them as such. Other IDs do not. I haven't really looked for that yet. I gotta remember that. Always compare the person's appearance to the photo on the ID. If they don't match, the ID is probably stolen. Accessories are not worn in ID photos. Good to know. Okay, brief. Whatever, littering, you can pause that and read it. Jaywalking. I mentioned this in one of my previous videos that not every pedestrian violation is a jaywalking violation. I stopped a person one time because they crossed against a red signal, and that wasn't technically jaywalking because, like it says in the second paragraph here, jaywalking is specifically defined as between adjacent intersections controlled by pedestrian traffic signals. You can't cross the road in between those two spots unless you're in a crosswalk. Law regulates which actions a police officer is authorized to take when a citizen breaks the law. You can chat when they have runny nose, suspicious behavior, sweating, or anything else on here. You can ask for ID when they witness an accident, have an expired plate, look like a wanted subject, parked a car either with a bad meter, wrong direction, on the sidewalk, too far in the street, or involved in an accident. Allowed detaining, broken light, assault, robbery, damaged windshield. So I can pull people over for windshield. Okay, that's good to know. Expired ID, ignored a stoplight or sign, jaywalking, littering, no parking, no valid insurance, parking during street cleaning hours next to a hydrant, too close to a crosswalk, in a firefighter zone. I haven't seen one of those yet. In a handicap zone without permit, in a no parking zone, in a taxi zone without permit, speeding, graffiti, suspicious driving, tinted windows, turn signal not used, or involved in an accident. So I can detain someone for suspicious driving. Okay, that's good to know. Frisking if someone's angry, avoiding eye contact, fearful, looking around nervous or shaking, searching for dilated pupils, fake insurance, not just expired, fake insurance, green crumbs, red eyes, slurred speech, smells like alcohol, smells like cannabis, white powder around the nose, that's searching. Okay, handcuffing, arresting, buying drugs, carrying illegal items, dealing with drugs. Dealing with drugs. Do they mean dealing drugs? Driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, fake ID, no valid DL. Possessing drugs, stolen car, open warrant, stun gun, anyone who flees, aiming with gun but not shooting, crime suspect investigated by a patrol officer who is now in flight from patrol officer. At night, it is possible to observe some evidence only when the flashlight's turned on. Good to know. Radar gun. We know how to use that. Radar range is 328. When you click the second button that takes a picture, you have to have the plate and speed visible in the picture. I get the speed limit wrong all the time, so I'm constantly getting...
We require support.
I'm constantly getting negative points for getting the speed limit wrong, but we'll figure that out later. Ticket or verbal warning. Traffic violations by drivers involved in car accidents or by drivers who have been pulled over. Civil infractions by pedestrians.
This is Patrol 4562. I'll search for the
Ticket or
suspect.
leave a verbal warning. You do have discretion. Traffic violations. Tickets or verbal warnings for traffic violations can be issued to drivers who have been pulled over by officers or drivers involved in an accident. 3 subcategories: ticketing by car, ticketing the driver, ticketing the driving itself. All traffic violations are listed in the handbook. Civil infractions: jaywalking, littering, expired ID. Hints: you can issue tickets without detaining a person first, but you get extra points if you detain them first. A lot of parking regulations that permit issuing tickets to cars. Refer to the handbook entry for a description of parking regulations. Okay.
There's an emergency. Urgent response required. Officer available?
Still in training. Sorry, buds. Patrol officers differentiate between parking violations. All of them get ticketed. Only a few justified tow truck. Parking tickets. Parking meter expired. Fire hydrant. Too close to the crosswalk. Expired plate.
This is Patrol 4561, taking care of the
parking
accident.
area. Position and alignment on sidewalk too far in the street. Special parking zone. Emergency access justifies towing. Towing for no parking zone. Towing for street cleaning. Towing for handicap. Oh, I can tow for handicap zone. Okay, towing for taxi zone. Okay. No ticketing or towing for people with broken windshields while they're parked. Okay. Tow truck is needed to move a motor vehicle. Towing option can be found in the menu when interacting with the vehicle in question. Authorized to tow a car when violates parking regulations that justify towing. Involved in an accident and emitting smoke. Car's been pulled over and the driver is no longer able to drive because they've been arrested. They come right away if it's in the street. They come within 24 hours if it's off the street. Pull over a car for reasonable suspicion of a traffic violation. Background check, vehicle driving, or traffic stop. Okay. Tailing a car, you can pull it over by pressing the pull over button. That's the blip, the R key on the keyboard. This will result in a short sequence of sirens and emergency lights. You will also receive an intuition message that the car is pulling over. An officer can also pull over cars when on foot by using the pullover sign. This is described in a different handbook entry. Drivers who are pulled over are released from detainment when police officers remove themselves from the pulled over car. So make sure to stay close. It's difficult to pull over in a street where there are no free parking spots. So if you want to pull over cars quickly, make sure you pull them over in an area where there's free parking spots. Computer. Alright, switch the different tabs to the Q and E or the bumpers on the controller. City map, I use that a lot when I get lost because I haven't learned the town yet. Background checks, I end up doing that on every call. The handbook, that's the one I'm reading now. Reports, this application is only accessible at your desk and only at the end of your shift. Okay, about writing reports. I haven't had to write a report yet. Background check app, that's on the computer. Whether it's the handheld or in your car, we'll see that when we play the game. You get more information. Looking at an ID, look at their insurance papers, pulling over vehicles, focusing on license plates. Oh, that's when you get the interactions on your computer, is when you focus on the things. The app gives you basic identity, driver's license is valid, gun permit, or warrant. In case you find a gun on the person and see that there's no valid gun permit, it warrants handcuffing the person for carrying a gun without permit. Similarly, the open warrant allows you to handcuff the person if they're wanted for crimes. Fake ID. After interacting with the person and looking at their ID, pay attention to the person's picture in their ID. Check to see if they match. In case you know the picture is different from the person you're interacting with, you should return the ID, close the interaction wheel using the right mouse click, and check their entry and background checks. If you should see the picture and notice that it belongs to a different person, this warrants handcuffing and arresting the person for carrying a fake ID. Okay. The app gives you information about the vehicles. Owner's name, license number, car model, registration valid, insurance valid, reported as stolen. Example, if asking for ID presents an invalid insurance card in the vehicle, it warrants handcuffing and arresting.
Your shift is over,
You
officer.
can easily verify insurance status by opening background check app and checking the status of insurance. much more informed decisions about arresting someone for fake ID, open warrant, or missing license or fake insurance. Background checks and info, blah, blah, blah. We already did that some. So we'll get into more of that in the game. After asking for an ID and looking at the ID, close the interaction. We'll use the right mouse button and go read the entry in the background check app to confirm or see if there's anything different. Okay, hints. In the case of a person carrying a fake ID, the ID information shown in the background checks app is that of the fake ID's person and not the person you are interacting with. That makes sense. When someone has a fake ID, they put their own picture, but they still have the old person's name on it, is what they're saying. So, wait, what? The ID information shown in the background is that of the fake ID's person and not the person you are interacting with. Right. When encountering a person carrying a fake ID and confirming it in the background checks app, if the app shows the original ID has an open warrant on them, this does not create justifiable reason to handcuff the person you're interacting with. The only justified handcuffing could be for a fake ID. So the person would get a fake ID, but the fake ID, the real person, has a warrant. That's just dumb. Okay. Be careful who you use as your subject on your fake ID. That person might have a warrant, is what they're saying. Tickets or verbal warnings: expired ID, no valid insurance, broken taillight, tinted windows, underglow light, broken windshield, expired license plate, broken headlights at night, speeding, ignored stop sign or stoplight, and failure to use a turn signal, arrest for DUI, stolen car, fake license plate, missing license, or fake insurance. I haven't seen a fake license plate yet. I can't even talk. I have not seen a fake license plate yet. Officers observe signs of infringements of crimes unrelated to traffic, possession of illegal weapon or open warrant on the driver. Keep your eyes open for all violations. There we go. We have to obey the traffic rules. You become immune to traffic violations when you're en route to an emergency situation or in close range to a law violation you've witnessed or pursuing a fleeing criminal. Okay. Accident scenes. Minor or major accidents, call-out accident or officer witnessed accident. Injured people or only car damage. Accident reason. Multiple reasons can lead to accidents, including driver under the influence of alcohol or drugs, ignoring traffic rules, pedestrians ignoring traffic rules like jaywalking. Accident obligations. Care for injured persons. I have had to do that once. Interview witnesses, ask for ID, photograph evidence, drug test, call tow truck, check license plates, hand out accident reports. The reports can either be poor, sufficient, extensive, or complete. Oh, I haven't seen complete yet. So interview pedestrian witnesses, interview driver witnesses, ask witnesses for ID, focus on license plates. Fallen off license plates don't count. I did not know that. I've actually focused on license plates on the grounds before, so that's a mistake I gotta stop doing. Photograph evidence and perform DUI chemical tests. Give them a report before calling for arrest transport. Otherwise, the report can no longer be given to the citizen. You're going to notice when every driver witness has received a report. Okay, call the ambulance. Service crew tasked with maintaining citizen safety and welfare. Help injured persons. Call an ambulance for anyone who's injured. Trivia. Oh, okay, there's trivia. Often, injured persons cannot decide for themselves whether or not they need an ambulance or treatment. For example, if they are unconscious. In such cases, first responders and paramedics operate on the principle of implied consent. Okay. Circumstance implies that a first responder can assume that a person would consent to calling an ambulance and being treated by paramedics. Road flares coming soon. Dangerous traffic situations, equipment in their patrol trunk. So, the accident is secure once road flares surround the whole accident site. Officers will receive an intuition system feedback. I secured the accident scene once they complete the task. Okay. Witnesses can be encountered at car accidents and crime scenes. Common to all witnesses is that they can be interrogated. Witnesses are obligated to identify themselves. Pedestrians near a car accident who saw the car accident are witnesses. They stand on the sidewalk waiting for the patrol officer to interrogate them. Interrogate them to discover clues, find out how about accident happened. Police officers are advised to let them go after interrogation. Even if the officer doesn't let them go in accordance with the Fourth Amendment, they are not officially detained and are free to leave. Car accident witnesses, drivers, we know how to deal with them. We talk to them, get their ID, test them for chemical substances. Write a report of all evidence and witness statements. Give everybody a copy of the report. The more accurate the report is, the more shift points you get. I haven't had one that was poor, and I haven't had one that's complete. I've only had sufficient and extensive so far, so we'll have to see how that goes. Interview pedestrian witnesses, interview driver witnesses, ask for ID of witnesses, focusing on license plates, photograph evidence, do your drug tests. They're advised to give them a report before calling transport. That's a repeat. Okay, crime witnesses. Witnesses to a crime encounter at a crime scene. Patrol officers advised to interrogate them. The more thoroughly they're interrogated, the greater number of hints that can be collected. Collecting enough hints results in wanted suspect call-out. Sometimes there may not be sufficient hints to start a search. In this case, crime scene investigation is finished for the patrol officer. Officers can let witnesses go. Witnesses to accidents and crimes are automatically detained. You don't have to detain them. Let's just go to the camera. Tool that can be used in the tool menu. Okay. Equip it, take pictures, blah, blah, blah. Not all evidence needs to be recorded to achieve satisfactory accident report, but it's recommended to capture all evidence to generate a complete report. Okay, that's good to know. Each officer has to write reports at their desk in their precinct's office. This opens up the report screen and lists all of the patrol officers' actions during the shift. Collected points, lost points, and rewarded XP. Also displayed are the progression of the next duty star and unlocked tools, features, neighbors, cars, blah, blah, blah. Pullover sign. It's not used very often, but it allows you to pull someone over while you're on foot. When using the pullover sign at traffic stops, you're allowed to pull over each and every passing vehicle. When using the pullover sign in regular traffic situations without an official traffic stop, make sure to only pull over vehicles that violate traffic rules. Hints. Drivers might not see you when using the pullover sign. A message will notify you whether the driver has seen you. Make sure you're clearly visible but standing in a safe place, not in the middle of the road. Drivers who have been pulled over are released from detainment when the officer moves away, so make sure to stay close. Roadblocks, called checkpoints. Common setup for controlling traffic participants' compliance to the rules, while some argue the lack of reasonable suspicion or probable cause means that such roadblocks violate Fourth Amendment. It's common practice in Brighton and are not deemed in violation of state and constitution by the state of Franklin. Okay. Patrol officers in Brighton might receive a call to assist at a specific roadblock in the assigned area. During a roadblock, every passing motor vehicle will be pulled over, even if reasonable suspicion is not established. They are obligated to do a DUI test when asked by the officer. Justified search of a person or vehicle still needs to be based on probable cause. Okay. Pulling over cars for a traffic violation only when the pullover is justified. Are officers allowed to request the driver take a drug test? The purpose of the drug test is to find out whether the driver's DUI, thus establishing probable cause. DUI is at a minimum a misdemeanor. Arresting the driver and towing the driver's car is justified in the situation. Officers can do alcohol and drug tests. Legal limit is 0.08. That's interesting. Okay, lower BAC is not punishable. Okay, that's interesting. It would take too long to explain why that's interesting. It's just interesting. Ordering a drug alcohol test is allowed when drivers behave suspiciously, weaving, nervous, red eyes, drug odors, commit a traffic violation, for example, running a red light, speeding, or having a broken windshield. All traffic violations justify a drug test in Brighton. Okay, good to know. They're part of an official traffic stop. All stop drivers can be ordered to perform a drug test, or if you're involved in an accident. If you pull someone over without justification, you can't give them a drug test. Okay, blah, blah, blah. In Brighton, drivers are not allowed to refuse a drug test when pulled over an official traffic stop.
Your shift is long over. Return back to the
It's
precinct.
permitted to
now.
order a driver to perform a drug test when the driver has committed any traffic violation, even if the violation is not connected to the suspicion of DUI. The laws of the state of Franklin and the city of Brighton don't distinguish between DUI misdemeanors and DUI felonies. Driving with impaired ability is also not a recognized category. I don't know what that means. Unlike other police departments, Brighton's police use breathalyzers instead of field sobriety tests. In contrast to many other cities, the legal alcohol level for taxi drivers and other commercial drivers is the same for regular drivers. Currently, there exists no justified grounds for ordering pedestrians to perform a drug test. Okay. Call-outs, call for service. Minor accident, wanted subject, roadblock, emergency call-out, major car crash, aggravated assault and robbery. You don't get any more calls once your shift is over. Call for service. You can decline. Yeah, whatever. I've been declining calls all day. I know there's no negatives, so that's good. You could technically just drive around and write parking tickets and never take a call all day if you wanted to. Brief. In the shift selection map, high crime rate areas around the city are highlighted with a red overlay. I haven't noticed that yet. When choosing a high crime neighborhood for a shift, the patrol officers assign a special mission. Show police presence. Patrolling that neighborhood and scoring a certain amount of shift points convert it to a low crime neighborhood. Okay. Progress during a shift is displayed on the shift mission UI progress bar. Clearing of a neighborhood of high crime rewards the player with additional district XP. Cool. Citizens with an open warrant can be found throughout the city of Brighton. Patrol officers are authorized to identify a person with warrants and arrest them. You can get a dispatch call to look for a specific person. Self-initiated call to look for a person after identifying a crime scene suspect. When you collect the clues and identify someone. Okay, background check reveals an open warrant. When looking for a wanted suspect, the map on the computers will display the area when this person was last seen. You can focus on citizens to get a hint whether it's them or not. Sometimes they'll move to a different location. You can't ask people for their ID. That person might try and run away. Don't try and shoot them. Aim, but don't shoot at a fleeing person is permitted only if the wanted subject is probably involved in a crime that patrol officers have themselves investigated. What? You can aim your gun at someone, but don't shoot when you've investigated the crime that they did. Okay, if a fleeing suspect is neither visibly armed or a danger to the officer, it's recommended the officer keep the gun holstered and instead use the ranged stun gun. Okay. Check whether a citizen is likely to be wanted by focusing on them. Wanted suspects are always on foot and never driving in a motor vehicle. Some wanted suspect searches offer more hints than other. A mug shot of the wanted person is not always available, but generally enough hints for identifying them are provided. When you walk up to someone, they may flee. Frisking. Frisking a person means officers cautiously scan the suspect's visible garments with their hands, looking for weapons. You can frisk when a person's reasonable, when you think that they're armed or a threat to the officer's health. Committed a crime like assault, robbery, or stealing a car. Show signs of aggressive behavior. Angry, nervous, fearful, or shaking. Show signs of DUI. Dilated pupils, red eyes, and green crumbs. Or flee while being detained. It is not allowed to frisk when they only did the following. Commit a traffic violation. Speeding or tinted windows. Driving suspiciously. Not having valid insurance or expired ID. Looking like a wanted person. Being a witness to a crime or an accident, or having a runny nose or sweating. Searching a person is more invasive than a frisk. They not only touch their clothing, they inspect the contents of a person's pockets, bags, or car. Searching of citizens or their cars is only justified when they've committed a crime like assault, robbery, or theft, or justifiably arrested, show signs of DUI, flee while being detained, are carrying an illegal item. Searching a person or their car is forbidden when frisking is unjustified, or when a person shows suspicious or aggressive behavior. For example, being angry, nervous, fearful, or trembling. It justifies frisking, but not searching. Stun gun.
Your shift is long over.
Return back to the precinct.
Yeah.
Now.
Stun gun, most widely used non-lethal weapon. Can be equipped in the tool menu. Sometimes they'll stop and raise their hands without you having to shoot them. And you can get more ammo when you run out. You get 4 shots and then you have to refill in your trunk. To have your stun gun immediately available. Yeah, got that. Drug dealers. Streets and parks. Oh, drug dealers coming soon. Observe a drug deal. Officers are advised to keep their eyes open and investigate when they see suspicious exchange of items. Maintaining a distance and turning off flashlights ensures that a drug deal can be observed. Focusing on the dealer provides helpful intuition feedback. Once officers are sure they have observed a drug deal, they are advised to exercise caution when confronting the dealer and buyer. Responding to a drug deal. Observing a drug deal establishes probable cause. You can search the dealer and buyer. Only after more evidence has been found on a person is an officer permitted to proceed with arresting them. Keep in mind that it is legal to be in possession of 1 ounce or less of marijuana. All officers should be aware the drug dealers and buyers may flee when approached. You can use a stun gun. And you can't shoot them once they surrender. They operate in back alleys, parks, and isolated places, more active at night. Drug dealers are aware of an officer's presence. They'll stop their activity. Handcuffing. Arresting a person involves handcuffing them, calling for backup arrest. Transport. An arrest encounter is one of 3 possible police-citizen encounters: consensual, investigative, and arrest. An officer may arrest somebody only after leaving some problems. Establishing probable cause, they've committed a crime. There's no difference between felonies and misdemeanors. You can arrest for probable cause even if you didn't witness the crime. Let's see. You can arrest when they're carrying illegal items like weapons, driving under the influence, have a fake ID, no valid license, driving a stolen car, is wanted, or flees while being detained. Following hints might come in handy during your next arrest encounter. Officers don't need to detain a person before arresting if one of the above reasons is given. Search a rightfully arrested person in their car is always justified. Gun. Aiming with the gun. Last resort, self-defense or resisting felons. Not permitted to aim guns at objects or persons when a police officer does not have grounds. They're allowed to aim but not shoot when they committed a felony and they resist or flee. For example, if a police officer investigates a crime scene, probably committed sign the person flees, the officer is allowed to aim their gun at the fleeing suspect. Shooting the suspect is not allowed, but aiming alone might convince the fleeing suspect to stop. Shooting the fleeing suspect in this scenario will result in a police officer being severely punished. Wow, you can't even shoot a fleeing felon? Sounds a lot like Tennessee versus Garner. Okay. Aiming a gun at any other fleeing criminals is not permitted. Shooting with the gun. Use of deadly force is only allowed when the police officer has secured proof. Probable cause is not enough that a suspect has committed a felony, major crime, and then resists or flees. However, shooting a person is not allowed when they have committed a misdemeanor. Whenever the arrestee creates a situation that is life-threatening to police officers, puts them in great harm, they are justified in... Where am I at? Use of deadly force in self-defense is important to know the probable cause, not enough proof of opening fire on a resisting or fleeing subject. For example, in the scenarios described with aiming a gun, there is no proof that the fleeing subject has committed a crime, only probable cause. What? That's so stupid. They just really don't want you to shoot anybody in this game. This is the biggest skew from reality. You can't shoot someone with only probable cause. You have to have proof. That's why officers are not allowed to shoot at fleeing suspects. In such a situation, it's good advice to keep the gun holstered and use the ranged stun gun instead. Shooting objects or persons for no apparent reason is considered police brutality. You will be fired. Get additional ammo from the trunk of your car. The early access version of Police Simulator Patrol Officers does not currently support any features that allow police officers to lawfully...
Your shift is long over. Return back to the precinct. Now.
There's no current support for any features that allow any officers to lawfully discharge a firearm, so you will never have to actually shoot your gun. So, alright, that's the whole handbook. Now we can go do our job. Did I run out the wrong side of the alley? I did. I ran in this side of the alley. There's the police department. Alright, that's the end of my workday. It is... what time? It doesn't say what time it is. So, whatever. That was our Monday of our work week. And now we're done. All we did was read the police handbook. And we went over it thoroughly. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back tomorrow. We'll do some real police work. So then you guys go watch more videos and I'll play some more games. And if you have any questions, leave a comment and ask, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. And if you would, please like and subscribe to either this video or to my channel. Do something that lets me know you're watching. Thanks. We'll see you next time. Bye.